Why do I like Darth Vader as a character? Now, I'm by no means a pro when it comes to Star Wars lore and history. As a matter of fact, I would be considered by some to be a complete noob. But this doesn't stop me from enjoying great storytelling. What I am is a true fan of character development and depth. As a Christian, it may seem weird to find that my favorite character in Star Wars is actually the villain, Darth Vader. And not because my favorite color combination is red and black, but seriously, what I have discovered about Darth Vader that I truly love is the fact that before he becomes the big bad that many fans have come to know, he was actually just an innocent kid who was a slave filled with untapped potential and great gifts. It reminded me greatly of the fact that God has created all of us in His image. We all have been given talents and gifts that are meant to glorify God and to be a blessing to our fellow man. But somewhere down the line, life beat us down to the point where we were no longer hopeful, and our potential is either never tapped into or is used for darkness rather than light. It's interesting looking into the life of Anakin Skywalker before he became Darth Vader. To see that this innocent child wanted nothing more than for him and his mother to be set free from slavery is extremely admirable, to say the least. He used his gifts in service to a master that treated him poorly for financial gain. He seemed to be destined for failure. That is until he encountered a man by the name of Qui-Gon Jinn, who saw something special in him, an untapped potential just sitting inside of him, waiting to be released. As the story progresses, Qui-Gon Jinn decides to take the risk of training this boy, even though it flies in the face of every rule set by the Jedi, in taking a student that is both too old and has developed far too strong of a bond to his mother. Despite all of this, Qui-Gon Jinn asks the mother if he could take the child and train him to be a Jedi. The mother, of course, wanting the best life for her son, makes the biggest sacrifice a parent could ever make. She lets him go, not because she wants to, but because it gives Anakin hope for a future outside of slavery. Anakin has no idea what the real world is like. He has never experienced a life outside of slavery. He is excited to become a Jedi, as any child would be. But leaving his mother presses on him heavily. He almost decides to give up on becoming a Jedi, just so his mother wouldn't be alone. But his mother convinces him that this is what is best. In his love, he promises her that he will return to rescue her from the bonds of slavery. He then goes on his journey to become a Jedi Knight. Now, being a Jedi may seem like the most admirable thing to do, but the sacrifices that must be made can wreak havoc on the human psyche. As a Jedi, you are told to be disconnected from all emotion and bonds because they could cloud your judgment. As time passes, Qui-Gon Jinn dies in a fierce battle with Darth Maul, and Anakin is left in the care of Qui-Gon Jinn's apprentice, Obi-Wan Kenobi. As time passes, Anakin becomes a Jedi, but this is where the journey really begins. He struggles with his emotions, his desires, and his bonds once again, as he has now secretly married a young damsel by the name of Padme, who eventually becomes pregnant with his children. He loves her, the very thing a Jedi should not entertain, but he does. As time passes, he learns that his mother has been taken captive on a planet. He goes to rescue her in hopes that he can fulfill that promise he gave those many years ago. After his arrival, he learns that Tusken Raiders have kidnapped his mother. When Anakin arrived, he found his mother, but it was too late. She died in his arms. Anakin gave over to his rage and slaughtered the Tuskens who had taken her, but this anger was not quenched. He becomes further influenced by an evil emperor who has deceived him and has taught him to give himself fully over to the dark side. Anakin, the young boy we once knew, has died, and Vader is now born. He goes back home and slaughters many young Jedi. He is no longer the person we once knew. That little boy that was filled with hope is gone. As Vader has given himself over to the dark side, he lives in service to the Emperor, fulfilling all of the Emperor's desires and passions. Vader is a slave once again. What he thought would bring him freedom has now placed him back in chains. But isn't that how life is? The things that we sometimes desire can be the very things that enslave us. If the story ended there for Darth Vader, it would be quite sad. It would seem that evil has triumphed and that good has no purpose. That is until we consider Vader's end. Many years into the future, Darth Vader learns that he has a son by the name of Luke Skywalker. Now, Luke is very much like his father in many ways, but in many ways he is different. Vader tries so desperately to turn his son over to the dark side, but it doesn't work. Luke has triumphed where Vader has failed. The Emperor that enslaved Vader also tries to turn Luke over to the dark side, but alas, Luke endures that trial as well. In a fit of rage, the Emperor attempts to kill Luke. As Vader watches his son engaged in battle, something inside of him breaks. The young Anakin that we thought was lost is now found. Anakin, trapped inside of Vader, now unleashes his wrath on the Emperor that has manipulated him for so many years. Vader sacrifices himself to save his son and ultimately kills the Emperor. In the end, while lying on the ground in Luke's arms as he slowly passes from this life, Vader has learned the true meaning of love and sacrifice. So you see, although Vader struggled in life and fell short in many ways, there was still hope. As long as there was breath in his lungs, no matter how labored the breathing, there was hope. So, why would I choose an evil Sith like Vader for my favorite character? Because deep down inside, I know that I am very much like Vader. I wrestle with my emotions, I struggle in this life, and to be honest, sometimes my hope diminishes. But it never leaves me, and that is because my hope is in an eternal God who cannot disappear. Now, the story of Vader is really a redemption story. A boy who lived his life as a slave, torn from everything he loved, thrown into a world he hasn't had a chance to learn about, and expected to be perfect and to discipline himself, to then be driven by desires and passions he doesn't fully understand, which leads him down the path of darkness as he was manipulated by an evil that he thought had his best interest at heart. But in the end, when presented with the opportunity, he was redeemed and learned the power of sacrifice. As Christians, we were like Vader, evil and without hope. But when presented with the opportunity to repent and trust in the sacrifice of Christ, we learned that there is hope, and that hope is only found in Jesus. Luke was saved by the sacrifice of his father, and we are saved by the sacrifice of our Father through Jesus. I hope that you enjoyed this. If this story inspired you, please be sure to click that like button and share this video with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell for more future insights just like this. Until next time, follow Christ and remember that you have now been given a new hope. Pun intended. God bless.